Hello and welcome to the first edition of Brick by Brick with the Wizard of Sales. My name is Kirk Fuqua. I'm the author of the Yellow Brick Road of Insurance Phone Sales and the creator of YBR Training. I'm here with you today with our very first question. I'm really excited for it. And our first question comes from a gentleman that actually sent me a copy of the scripts that he utilizes in his office, and he had asked me to take a look at them to see what I thought. And one of the things that really jumped out to me whenever I was reading through the scripts is the fact that I felt like that he was being a quoter. And I said this to him and explained this to him, and he asked me, what do you mean I'm a quoter? What does that mean? So I thought that might be a great topic for us to talk about what's a quoter and then what's the alternative to being a quoter. And so that's really where I want to start with you guys in our very first episode of the Brick by Brick. So this is how a quoter sounds. And so just bear with me as I kind of give you a demonstration. They called the customer answers, and they would say something like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah from whatever insurance agency. Do you have 5 minutes for me to give you a quote? How are you doing today? Okay, hey, let me just check through here and get through the quote real fast. What's your name? What's your address? What's your telephone number? How much you paying? So it's all about going straight from the top of the quoting information to the bottom without any deviation and just asking just the generic questions. And that's what those quoters do. And don't worry, a lot of people do that, and it's a very common mistake and it's a very common problem. Let's talk about the things that happen when you're that quoter and kind of how you restrict yourself from being able to have as much success as you probably would like to have. So number one is you let the customer control you a lot of times in that quoter environment. When you're that quoter, you're not in control of the conversation. The customer is kind of dragging you off into the woods, like I talk about, where the lions and tigers and bears are. And that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of what happens. Next is you kind of put yourself in a position where there's only one way for you to win, and that's on price. And for a lot of us, we know and understand that price is not the only way that we can win every day, but so many of us don't know a different way to sell other than on price, or maybe you don't have multiple options to be able to offer, especially if you're in that captive world. You're stuck with the price that you got, and it is what it is, so you can't figure out how to get it closed. Another big problem that comes along with being that quoter is you get trapped into objections, where the customer walks you into situations and then position themselves with an objection to you that you really have no response to. You don't know what to say or how to do to get out of it, and you simply give up and say, okay, sorry to bother you, or hey, I'll call you back, or let me know whenever you decide you want to get started on this. That's really what happens a lot of times with those quarters, and it's something that can be easily avoided, and we'll talk about that as we go further. Another big problem with that closer is they do more telling than they do selling. They're telling the customer what they need instead of asking the customer what they want. And if you guys don't know, there's a big difference between need and want. And the more you can discover that want, then the easier it is for you to kind of make that person a customer. So the next thing is they feel really uncertain in the solutions that they offer. And in the reality of this deal is, what are people really buying? Are they really buying the piece of paper or the product that you offer? No, they're really buying you and the confidence in the solutions that you offer. So if you're in that quoter mentality, then you might not have the same confidence in what you're offering because you're so positioned on price and think that's the only way to win. Now, don't feel bad about that if you do those type things, because the reality is we've all done it, because that's really where we learn to start from. And that's how we think that insurance is sold, because the reality of the world is the world has made insurance a commodity. And then that's the perspective that we look at it, that it's a commodity. We're just taking orders and filling it. And one of the things that I always say is that, what does a monkey, my 10-year-old daughter, and a computer all have in common? They can sell on price and be a quoter. There's really no skill there. So it's about how can you evolve to that next level to really develop skill. And that's what I want to show you guys, or help you to what the next solution is. And so that solution is to become what I call a trusted advisor. So a trusted advisor has a doctor's mindset. So what do I mean by that? With a doctor's mindset, that means that they diagnose and prescribe solutions to problems. You wouldn't go to the doctor and say that I have a chest pain and then be okay with the doctor giving you medicine for your foot, right? You're gonna expect that doctor to ask more detailed questions to really find out what's truly going on with you, where they can prescribe you the proper medicine to ensure they saved your life. And in reality, that's what we do every day in the insurance world. is we're asking these really important questions to protect the most important things in these prospects' lives. And it's our job to do it. So another way to really be able to become that trusted advisor is to really focus on the prospect and make the prospect first. It's all about them and not about us. That's really important, right? And the way you do that is by letting the prospect do the majority of the talking. And you can do that by the utilization of open-ended questions that really direct the prospect to answer in a way that describes what's important to them. So we're asking questions, in essence, to drive them to tell us what they want. Because the reality is that people buy what they want and not what they need. And the more that they can tell us what they want, then the more effectively we can diagnose the proper solutions to them. Then it becomes really hard for them to say no to the solutions that we offer, especially if they say it's important. The other important piece of this is by letting that customer or prospect really to be open and to have open dialogue with you and to really do more talking than listening, is that the more times that customer is talking, then the less time they have to think about what they can say to you, how to get off the phone. Because if they're sitting there responding to your answer, because people love to hear themselves talk, then you're literally listening and trying to determine what your next question is to keep them talking, as opposed to you doing all the talking and the customer's focusing more on what can I say to get off the phone with this person. That's the reality of what happens. And so lastly, that trusted advisor, what they really know is they know and understand the fact that it's not their job to convince somebody on what they need to buy. It's really their job to help the customer by listening to them, discovering problems, offering solutions, and allowing the customer to make the right decisions for themselves. It's not our job to close them, so to speak. It's our job to help walk them down this path to the answers to all their problems before they ever happen. That's really what our job is we rather have these conversations now than after the claim, because then it's too late. So that's a little bit for you guys to understand the differences in the quoter and a trusted advisor. And I really want you to step back and be honest with yourself and evaluate yourself and say, hey, which of these am I? Am I a quoter or am I a trusted advisor? I mean, all of you guys probably have different approaches that you use every single day. And I would love for you to take advantage of the comment section to really list all the different ways of how you can be a more effective trusted advisor, where we can all grow, learn together, right? That's kind of the idea of this, is where we can all learn together. And if you are that quoter, don't be embarrassed. Put on there that, hey, I'm a quoter and I want to get better. And I think that's the first step, like I said, of anybody who has a problem, is to admit it's a problem and to take that first step. So I encourage you to do that. And I look forward to doing more of these sessions with you to get better and better and to work on your sales and to grow your agency to your dreams, man, and to make it happen. So till the next Brick by Brick, we'll see you next time.